Greetings, Queen Yenn here for another Motivation and Meditation Monday. First of all, I just really give thanks for these moments to be able to reflect myself as I am thinking of different topics and preparing for the meditation. It's so much growth and understanding and cultivation and development happening even on my end. So I'm just really grateful for these moments. Know that it's these meditations and the word of the day is coming from a place of so much gratitude. So I give thanks. So the topic of the day is, and this topic is something that is, it's important because sometimes we subtly move from a place of fear. Are you operating from fear? Transform your operating system. Are you operating from fear? Sometimes subtly we operate from a place of fear. Some of the small things in life, we're operating from a place of fear. And it's easy to identify places of fear. Well, I can't say it's easy for everyone, but when I'm not feeling something, if I check myself, I notice that I'm doing these things because I'm operating from a place of fear. I fear that if I don't do it, something will happen that will cause some type of imbalance feeling within myself. So I continuously do something that maybe is not in alignment with my true heart's desires, or I'm really not feeling it. And you feel it. You feel it. So here we go. Per usual, let's talk about the words that we're using. Fear. Fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. It is the anticipation of danger. This fear can be in an instant. You can just have instances of fear, or you can actually be in a state of fear, where literally that has become your operation system. This coming from the metaphysical meaning of fear. Fear is one of the most subtle and destructive errors that the carnal or egoic mind in man experiences. Fear is a paralyzer of mental action. It weakens both the mind, which is the starting point of every act and thought and feeling, and it weakens the body, which is the outer expression of our consciousness. Fear throws dust in our eyes and hides the mighty spiritual forces that are always with us. Blessed are those who deny ignorance and fear and affirm the presence and power of spirit. Okay, there are some key things in what I just read to you, just reading from my notes here. Somebody asked me on one of the other, said, what are you reading from? I'm reading from a book that I'm writing. Giving thanks for these motivation meditations because it sparked me to go ahead and write that book that I've been talking about. But what's interesting in here is fear. Listen to within this metaphysical meaning, fear is one of the most subtle and destructive errors that the carnal or egoic mind can make. The Metaphysical Bible Dictionary describes it as an error. It's described as that because that mindset or those thoughts are not in alignment with truth, with the ultimate absolute reality, which is that there is nothing to fear because we are the same source of life. We are from the same source of life and the same life force energy that created the worlds, that is omnipotent, that is always expanding, always changing, always shifting, and always working in your favor to get in alignment with your heart's desires. Okay? So that is an error thought. Another thing to highlight here is in the dictionary, the Webster Dictionary version, it says an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief. And what is a belief? Thoughts we keep thinking. An unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, will likely cause pain, or poses a threat. Okay. As you are seeing, it has a lot to do with mind. It has a lot to do with mental. How we see things is how they show up in our lives. Okay. So what's necessary? One thing that is highlighted here is necessary is mental discipline. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Let's talk about the root of fears though. Why is it that we have these subtle fears in our lives? This fear that if we try to go after our desires, we will fail. These fears that if we communicate what we're really thinking or what we're really feeling, that something bad will happen. Someone will leave us. I will lose my job, or they wouldn't like me anymore. Whatever those different things. What keeps our throat chakra closed up? Out of fear. What keeps our heart closed up? What fears, and where does that come from? Those fears that keeps us closed-hearted, closed-minded. Where does it come from? Well, the root of fears, the main root of fear, the root, I would say, of fear, is the distrust of the reality of the Most High. That spiritual force, the spiritual forces that are inner realities develop through our spiritual wellness and development, which creates a consciousness that relates us directly to the powers of our Lord, our Father, our Creator, the omnipotent source of life and life force energy. Let me run that back. The root of fears is the distrust of the reality of the Most High. The distrust of the reality of the spiritual forces that are inner realities developed through our spiritual wellness and development, which creates a consciousness that relates us directly to the powers of our Lord, our Father, our Creator, the omnipotent source of life and life force energy that is within us and all around us. It's a distrust in that. It's distrust. So because we distrust that, we start to go into our egoic mind and start to analyze things and think about what happened in the past, what may happen in the future, and all these different things, and our mind starts to go into that monkey mind phase. And then it creates those emotions of feeling like there are potential dangers. How do we identify fear? Through our reflection. We have to reflect often. Through awareness and through attention to our feelings. How do we feel when we're doing things? If we feel like this is not for me, this is not in alignment, but we're continuously doing it, clearly you are operating from a level of fear. You fear that if I move in the direction I would desire to move, that something will happen that will cause me pain. Something will happen that will make me feel like I'm a failure, whatever it may be. Important part is, how do we rid ourselves of these fears? And here's the key points for that. Daily remembrance of the reality of the Most High. Daily remembrance. Constant remembrance of what is your source of life? What is your source of life? How powerful is that source of life, which makes you powerful? Daily meditations of the heart, lightening your heart. Meditating and focusing your mind on your heart. Is there anything weighing your heart down? And lightening your heart daily, constantly. And the development of love. And when I talk about love, I'm not most likely not talking about the lovey-dovey, feel-y romantic love. I'm talking about that love that is the understanding that all is divinely ordered. Everything is always working out. And that I am a reflection of the Most High. And lastly, how do we get rid of that fear? Getting to know God. You have to get to know this thing we call God, this thing we call Creator, this thing we call the Most High, Mother, Father, Creator, Source of Life, Allah. All of these different words we have for this life force energy that resides within us and all around us. That is the source of peace, the source of love, the source of patience. It's that source, but you have to know it first. You have to know it first. And the only way you can really know it is if you develop the mind. Develop the mind. So a step in the right direction is practicing mental discipline. Practicing mental discipline. What is mental discipline? The practice of daily training of the mind through denials of error and affirmations of truth. Denial of error thoughts and affirmations of truth. You have to continuously say it. Well, Queen, you just want us to stick our head in the sand and just keep reciting affirmation. Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. Keep affirming the truth in your life. And the truth is, period. And it's not something that you can just walk around believing. You have to know it. And this meditation, and I gave you ways that you can know it. This is how you can know it. You have to practice remembrance of it, of the reality of it. Remind yourself of what source of life created seeds, made it where seeds can grow into oak trees, made it where embryos can grow into full-grown, conscious, intelligent beings, made it where that thing in your life that you thought would never work out, worked out. That person that you thought would never develop, developed. So many things in our lives. All it takes is a bit of reflection. I can guarantee you, every single person has these instances and examples in their lives. And if you just can't see it in your life because you are just so full of error thoughts, look outside your window. Every time that sun comes up, every time the moon is in the sky, every time you see animals and birds and the oceans and the rivers, that is a physical manifestation of that source of life, that life force energy that you are of, and it resides in you and all around you. We do meditation a little bit different today. What I would like to do is give you almost like an assignment so that you can really take some time to meditate on these things. Okay? We'll get yourself at a centered place. We'll get ourselves in a centered place through some breathing a little bit just to get ourselves centered. And then I'm going to leave you with some questions to reflect. And when I leave you with those questions to reflect, I'd like for you to take those, get a pen and paper, and I would like you to write those down and reflect upon those when we come off of this meditation. Okay? So now, in this meditation, we're going to reflect on the reality of God. We're going to reflect upon the reality of God. That is our meditation for the moment. Meditating on the actual reality of God. If you don't call it God, whatever you call it, it's the same source of life. Life force energy. So let's get into comfortable position. Just to center our mind and focus it on these contemplations. Okay? Comfortable position. Let's just start with our inhales and exhale. Inhaling through the nose deeply. Slowly exhaling through your mouth. Inhale. Releasing all tension, all other thoughts. As you exhale, release it. Relax your shoulders. Relax your arms. Release your forehead. Release your jaw. And relax. Inhale. And exhale. Continue to do those inhales and exhales, and I want you to just pay attention to your body. Release any tension in any areas in your body that you may be holding. Pay attention to any pain. If you feel any tension or pain, just inhale, breath there, and release it out. Once you're all the way relaxed, clear your mind and focus on the questions that I'll pose. What is the reality of God to you? What is that reality? What are the characteristics of this reality? How will you describe this reality? The reality of God, the reality of the Most High, the reality of our Creator. What does it encompass in accordance to you and what you've come to know? Think of words to describe that reality. How has this reality shown up in your life? How has it shown up in your life? Do you possess any thought or ideas that conflict with this reality of God? What are your fears? Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth and release. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale. Open mouth, exhale. Last time, inhale. Open mouth, exhale. Gradually open your eyes and relax in a moment. We're just starting the contemplation. I'm just starting you out with the contemplation. What I'd like for you to do is grab a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and I'd like for you to write these questions down. And when I leave you, I'd like for you to take a good 15 to 30 more minutes to really contemplate these questions. Okay? Contemplate these questions. What do you believe? What have you come to believe the reality of God is? How has this reality shown up in your life throughout your journey? Do you possess any thoughts or ideas that conflict with this reality of God that you have found? These things we call fears. What are your fears? And be sure to deeply reflect, because some of our fears are very subtle. Very subtle. Lastly, ask yourself, how can I transform my fears to that love reality? And remember, love is the fact that everything is always working out. Everything is always in divinely ordered. I accept all things as they are because I have that knowing. How can I transform my fears to a love vibration, to an acceptance vibration, to a gratitude vibration? with this simple reality, if you're able to transform, when you're able to transform those fears into the love vibration, this will change your life. It'll go from you fearing that if you make a move, something will happen, something bad will happen. It'll go from that to continue to move on in life without the worry that things are not working out for you. It will have you trusting your intuition and seeking inwardly to know how to move about in this world and making moves without the double-mindedness, knowing that everything is always working out. I'm going to repeat those questions just one more time, and then I'm going to let you go on your own and do your reflection. What have you come to believe the reality of God is? How has this reality shown up throughout your life? Do you possess any thoughts or ideas that conflict with the reality of God? What are those fears? Be sure to deeply reflect, because some of them may be subtle. Now ask yourself, how can I transform my fears to a love vibration? Okay. I hope this was impactful for you to at least be able to start thinking. Know that as you operate from fear, you're going to always sign up for imbalance, for stress, for anxiety, for sadness, for shame, for resentment. But when you're able to release fear and rest in the knowing of the reality of God, the knowing, not just believing, I think it is, but I know. Because how? Because I constantly remember the reality. I practice daily remembers. I constantly do meditations of the heart, lightening my heart. I constantly work on the development of the love vibration within me, within my mind, within my thoughts and ideas. And I constantly work to continue to get to know this life force energy. And the only way you can get to know anything or anyone is if you give it room to be with you. If you look for it, seek it. You seek it. When you get to know somebody, you ask them all type of questions. You want to be around them. You look for them. You think about them. You got to do all of that to get to know God, or to get to know the Most High, or whatever you may call this beautiful life force energy that is omnipotent, that is within us and all around us. All right. Much peace, many blessings, and I will see you all next Monday.